Good evening and welcome to the Louisville Literary Arts InKY series. It is our October InKY. And so tonight we're going to have two phenomenal and what I call literary artists. We're going to have two read tonight from their work, but I just want to go ahead and put this out here. Louisville Literary Arts, we are back after a 3-year hiatus for the Writer's Block Festival. If you are a member of LLA, of course, your registration is free of charge. If not, you can become a member and then get free registration, or you can pay the $50 registration fee. We have all of our information out there on Facebook land, Twitter land, all the social media on our website at www.louisvilleliteraryarts.org. And again, our writer's block is going to be on Tech's campus, community college campus in Sellersburg, Indiana. That is a tongue twister for me. On November the 12th, 2022. And we are so excited. It's from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're going to have a lot of vendors there. We're going to serve you lunch. Yay, free food. We're also going to have some panel discussions and we're going to have a keynote. So it's going to be a great event. So if you're not following us on social media, please do at Lou Literary Arts. We're on most social media outlets and you can find us. You can go to our website again. So tonight, yay, we are ready for our literary artists. And so first up, we have Sunshine Lombré. Did I say that right? All right. So I'm going to do our introduction, and Sunshine is from Chicago. She's a Chicago poet who strives to share her passion for spoken word and choreography while uplifting Black communities worldwide through the teaching creative writing classes, through Poetry for Personal Power, the Chicago Public Library System, and other arts organizations. She's been performing poetry since her first slam competition in 2010. Recently was an opening act for Twista, and has released her debut poetry music album called Fading Away last summer. And I did go to your website and you do a lot of things. So feel free while you're reading to interject all of your great stories that you have in your experiences you've had in these, I'm guessing these last 12 years where you've been really active. So if you go ahead and unmute, we're ready for you.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor, and I'm really grateful to share this evening with you all. Thank you for welcoming me into your homes. You guys could have been listening to absolutely anything, but you chose to listen to some poetry this evening, and that is just wonderful. So thank you. Yeah, man, poetry has been quite a journey for me. Yeah, definitely, like I was casually writing it when I was young, but I really fell in love when I started getting into the slam poetry world, like about a little over 10 years ago. But I never really considered myself a poet, even though I was writing loads of poetry all the time. Yeah, actually, it wasn't until the pandemic, honestly, that I really started calling myself a poet, and I really stepped into it. And yeah, I started putting out poetry music. I was teaching poetry classes, but still not calling myself a poet, which is just kind of ridiculous. Like, you know, it's kind of crazy how imposter syndrome can kick in. And it's like, oh, well, I don't have 5 books out yet. I'm not a poet. It's like, no, you're a poet if you write poems all the time. So yeah, it's been beautiful. Poetry music has been really powerful to me because I've been able to access a lot more audiences, I feel like. Yeah, it's been able to help me connect with a bunch of different people, different audiences. Like I've been working with some rappers, I've been working with musicians, jazz musicians, like it's all over. So I really appreciate the more ways that I'm able to bring poetry to people's ears and yeah, help connect hearts. So anyhow, speaking of poetry, let's get into it. This is my favorite poem that I've written this summer. Yeah, I'll get into it. It's called Laid Up with Daddy Long Legs. The midnight tinted lake kissed the sky as sunset, and the two became one while most sleep, with bright twinkles dotting the eyes and faded cloudy swirls crossing the T's. The sweetest stanzas are resting right above us, so shit, mira, la poesía está aquí, viviendo en nuestro aire, la poesía está conmigo. La poesía está contigo, la poesía está conmigo. La poesía está contigo, so let's come closer and read it. Let's roll the windows down and close our eyes so we can see it. And the wise wandering wind will carry and airbrush the lyrics onto our skin in the form of goose pimples and nervous grins. So read my goosebumps slow, like it's a cryptic braille code in a dialect you've never felt before. And my flesh warms with the grips of your fingertips, so the letters slip deep into my skin as you grip. But breathe each syllable, each sound, each letter that you read into the nape of my neck so it can travel down and intersect my spine down to my feet, covering them in the Sandman's mysticism, allowing me to walk into your dreams. But don't stop. Just keep reading to me while breathing to me, while clinging to me. Make my nerves sing while I drip, drip, drip. Sweet holy nectar for you to sip, psychedelic ambrosia to make you trip, a fountain of youth for you to dip your toes in before you dive. And my currents hold no surprise. Just keep swimming, and for centuries ahead, you'll stay alive. I mean, as long as you keep me dripping, you'll always thrive. As long as you keep me dripping, you'll always thrive. And perhaps we'll become one once your saliva is intertwined with all that is mine. But first, you got to decide, is it going to be your place or mine? So there's poem number 1 in my set. I guess I should also give a disclaimer. So I've, with the pandemic and the whole like cover your mouth, don't touch people, 6 foot distance, social distancing, and me being single for a good amount of the pandemic, I just started stepping more so into erotic poetry. It's been a great way for me to keep my hands to myself, keep social distance, and just, I don't know, kind of just let the romance live inside my household while staying healthy and safe. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good amount of that. All right, cool. So I'm going to get into a little bit more. I think I want to love you until your blood radiates gold and it comes out of your pores. I think I want to love, hold, and squeeze you until we feel hope again and feel warmth again, feel faith again, and can see the great almighty God again and see the God that's in you. I think I want to walk with you through the roughest paths in life and make love whenever we get the chance, while forever laughing to make loopholes and life's misfortunes and make jokes when we can't. I think I want to love you in a way that we forget that we have all these bones in our body, in the way to keep us from melting into each other. Because I want to melt and ooze onto you. I want to cream onto you. I want to onto you. So let us snooze our guilts, our belts and buckles. Let's soften our fists, our grips and knuckles, and let's move. I think I want to love you in a way that words won't be so limiting with its chains and combinations, and it'll be more like sequences of sounds that slip around our tongues and teeth and lips, traveling through transparent ships by the way of the wind to the supple slips of skin that are your ears, figuring its way down to the funnels to find you. And I think I want to love you. I think I want to love you. I think I want to love you. I think I want to charge in your arms. And I think I want to do a lot of things that feel right, but only mess things up. But still, I think I want to. Yeah, that's a poem that I wrote last summer. Yeah. So I released my album Fading Away, and yeah, I had a lovely tour, which was really cool. Like to any artists that think if they want to do a tour, well, not artists, but poets that want to do a tour, there's lots of ways that you can like kind of market yourself like singers do. You don't have to just limit yourself to bookstores. The world is your oyster. Yeah. It's been really fun. And just all the experiences along the way. Yeah, and just finding more ways to collaborate with other artists and tech folk. Anyhow, more poetry. This one is called Lower Labia Lounge. It'd be nice to find someone with which I can spend my moonlight time with. The crickets, cicadas, and other itty-bitty chirpy little creatures are singing their meeting calls close by. You should hear it. but it ain't nothing but a looping instrumental until we join in and add our vocal stems whenever we begin. I can lean back the front row, lay down our heads real low, collide in a way that our hands will flow, while our taste buds flutter freely and learn each other real easy, have our legs locked with our hearts singing, releasing all things creamy. With the storm heavily pouring down, and all my nectars falling from the bounds of my curly crown down to my lower labia lounge. And you've got my full attention. It's sitting pretty and red to listen to how you're going to pay her a visit, so you know you don't want to miss it. Just go ahead and kiss it. You know you got that. You know I got that limited edition personal subscription, like a prepaid commission. So come see what you've been missing. Poem. All right. This next one, Each and Every Wave is the name. With this whole pandemic thing, touch feels so taboo, along with exposed lips, sharing breath and experiencing, exploring the world with our fingertips. I miss that. I miss you. I miss feeling. Building connections with each collection of new affections. And I've been visualizing, visual I sing myself, massaging your muscles and kissing up your spine to the nape of your neck, and keep going till we both end up naked, and keep the feels flowing till it's time to pick out breakfast. And baby, I'm just one more touch from ripping off my blouse and laying down a towel and sliding off your trousers. And you can leave open them browsers and try that shit off browsers. And then we'll switch back and kick back. And but by then you'll have turned into a bragger and we'll have to drag me out in a in a brown hearse. And I know you're going to love each and every second, each and every inch and every moan, each and every wave that I give to you, spin to you, because I'm pouring out all my love from all my ends for you. I'm pushing for that pleasurable bend for you because I know you work so hard for me. Poem. Let's see. So I get for my, let's see, this next one is called Authenticity. What matters to me is that sauce, I mean that drip, I mean that's my gold. If you roll smooth like a tour with a healing aura, yeah, that's the code. If your presence speaks to me like vibrating peacefully with sweet synchronicities, then I'll do as I'm told. If you speak with love, no need for hate or heat, because I'm a fold. I like flowing amongst those full of flavor, fluid with God's favor, with the faith for being true to themselves. I like to wander along the colorful sceneries with the pink, purple, and greeneries that are soaked with sweet, sultry, and sorrowful memories. Yeah, that's where I want to be. Wherever there is authenticity, that's what really matters to me. The vibrant vibes that bring truth to me. Poem. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I think I'm gonna pull out one. This is a real throwback. This is one from like my early slamming days. So yeah, 2010. I wish to love you further than this memory of a moment, the time tickling torment to endure the emotional intensity past this time frame. But the empty bruises to blame for falling so hard because I'm head over heels for you. Not that it's the possible sex position, but this is an innocent preposition saying that this chemistry could expand past the door. But twisting the knob and cutting off the lights are just actions that just mumble less is more, but you just don't understand how your sense sends me on a high like slip, slamming me to slumber, limply landing me like lumber because I always fall for your type. You slyly flip me to fondle, deeply dip yourself to dawdle, and I'm anxiously anticipating for the never another potential romance blow, blimping me to blubber because Dean's 2 for 4 chocolate ice cream cleans up from Mr. Chocolate scenes that always seem to bust prior to pre-meeting pelvic thrusts. And my buns always have to revisit their sloppy doom, and I bet you expected me to rhyme another dirty line, or that I would rhyme something with line, but rhyming line with line will never count. And I'm not going to rhyme anything with amount either, because then this poem wouldn't amount to anything. No matter how many mother clicking words I could spin in a second, because Twisher couldn't remix my thoughts. No matter how many alliterating lyrics I love to find. No matter which way I try to harmonize you. No matter how many clicks it takes to reach the center setting a cell phone block. And this isn't even a Lauryn Hill, nothing even matters sort of situation. And this mustn't matter if it can't be defined by the mass of solids, liquids, or gas. And this mustn't matter if archaic diction hath not resolved the thou. Then Shakespeare doesn't have the illuminating imagery, nor the to be or not supposed to be soliloquies to predict my easily foreshadowed plot. Because I want you to be the curly kinks in my hair that I love to work out. And it's probably because I love how Screaming Jay Hawkins makes art out of mess that you are my freedom spirit fingers that I lack to stress to climb over this milestone of twisted finger clenching, knee knocking, text me later winking, and when I'm gone, I'm thinking, this isn't enough type love. Poem. I know it's so wild because it's like at that time I probably would have never imagined that I'd actually get the chance to perform in the same event as Twister. Yeah. The slam scene has been so inspiring to me because it's just amazing how people can push out so many political viewpoints, so many personal stories, so many mental health. It's so endless, limitless what people can do in 3 minutes. I'm just been so inspired by the slam scene. Sometimes it's kind of hard for me to get back into it because like you could pour out your whole heart and then get like 7.2, like, but that's just part of the game. That's just how it is. All right, let's see. This next piece, I was commissioned to do. It's going to be a part of a play that really kind of helps bring awareness to the many different forms of sexual harassment, sexual assault, sexual awareness. Sexual assault awareness. It's going to be a play, and like the moment leading up to the play, the main character gets date raped by a longtime friend of hers. You said you take care of me. You said to trust you. You're a good guy. You ain't like that. You said I'd like it. You said to sit back and just relax. Don't fight it. Don't kick back. Just lay flat. Daddy got that. Arch my back and stay like that. And just relax. Don't talk back. You said I was acting up, so you had to act back and just relax. Just relax. Just relax. And then you tightened your grip so the moment wouldn't slip. But I don't understand. Why did you tackle me? Why did you shackle me? Why did you grip me, strip me, and strangle me and keep me from breathing? Why wasn't stop enough? Why wasn't chill out enough? Why wasn't the tears flowing from my stiff, cold, petrified body enough? Were my shivering teardrops nothing but negligible hydration drips or perspiration mist that sprout the seeds of your desperation and deepens the roots of your cursed perversion? Would the streams gliding from my eyes just be a secret reservoir gifted from the sweet heavens for you to frolic and rejuvenate in? Would you see it as a private baptism, an opportunity to be cleansed of your sins, transforming me to be your cloudy bathwater, outlined with the dark, gloomy, ungodly ring that constantly continues to bleed your hidden truth on all nearby things? And when I'm screaming, begging for cleansing, I'm only seen as a stain that was meant to be that way and should be ashamed for all the raping ass bullshit I claim. But he says he's been wanting me for a while now, and I shouldn't have came over so late. I was smiling and laughing so much he probably thought it was a date. Say I need to quit acting so holy when I'm really just fake, probably just chasing money, thirsty for a court case. And yeah, maybe I shouldn't have came over so late. But I thought we was cool and I'd be straight. But why'd he do that to me? He was like a bro to me and he said he'd take care of me, but honestly, what does that ever really mean? Yeah. Let's see. And to close things out, I think I'm going to find it. Let's see. I'm going to end it with some cuter poems. Let's see. This is a poem kind of inspired by those moments when it's like someone special to you, whether that's a person of interest or friend or whatever. They're pouring out their stresses and you're like, I want to be everything you need and more, but honestly, you can't. You gotta let people work things out on their own. You can't always bear all the burdens, even if you really want to. You have to let people work through things on their own time. So like, can I save you? Like, can I save you? Like, can I save you from your pain, from the pressures, from the demons that have been preying on you, and most importantly, from yourself, because I need you. So best believe I can feed you, clean you, sleep with you, and wake that ass up in the morning. Let me help you. Save you from yourself, save you from the wells, from the sharp whipping winds, and the haunting sins that follow you in these cities, and save you from trying to keep it pretty, faking smiles and fronting like you so sedity so folk won't find the facts. But remember, I can save you, tape you, bathe you, neuter and spay you, and pray till you don't hate you, and pray till you don't hate you, and pray till you don't hate you. I can save you, tame you, chase you, and take you away from the worries that separate you from me, so that you can see that we could be out thriving with simplicity, running towards our dreams, reaching infinite, unmeasurable velocities. So go ahead and tip me. Tip me with your meaningless but so tumultuous soliloquies that always bring me to my knees melting, with our minds drunkenly racing towards dimensions and limitless galaxies. And let me help you. Make you lose your sense of space and time. I'll borrow you for a psychedelic spiritual ride, a wildly exotic spectrum of sober feelings to which you've never before arrived. So just stop suffering and let me save you. Just stop struggling and let me save you. Just stop struggling. Stop. Just let me save you. Just let me save you. Just let me save you. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Releasing my wishes and urges to just rescue people all the time. Because like sometimes everybody's probably had some sort of situation where you spend all this money trying to help somebody and then they just put themselves right back in the situation. And it's like, you could have gave advice or just hugged them. You could have just gave a hug. Sometimes that's all people really need, is just a listening ear and a hug. All right. Dark teal is and has always been a favorite of mine because it's so soothing to me. It reminds me of warm ocean waves coming towards an enchanted yet deserted island far away. It's so cooling, like talking to an angel, blowing serenity over a city with fresh peppermints in her mouth after brushing her teeth. And it feels like all day rain showers with each drop coated with eucalyptus oil. Opening my inner airways when I get dripped on like it's melting Vicks vapor rub all over my body. And the skies may be gray and gloomy, but the pit patter and the sounds of cars gliding over the street, water, slick and smooth as silk, makes everything a little more magical. Dark teal makes me want to live cool. This teal makes me want to live easy. Dark teal makes me want to be smooth. This teal makes me want to stay breezy. I want to guess my favorite color. Yeah, dark teal was my favorite color for the longest. I even had it as my hair for the longest. And during that time, I had so many teal outfits. And what I'm wearing is kind of a darker teal, but I don't think it's really showing up on the camera like that. I don't know. Okay. Ooh, I still have time. Yes. Okay. Lovely. I guess another thing that kind of really inspires me is just being in crowded spaces. Yeah, I feel like I write best on crowded buses, trains, cafeterias. Like when you hear 30 voices at once, you could just pick out different stories and some can really just sit in and just, wow. Yeah, just so many thought pieces just flow in and out. All right. This is a piece that I'm working on turning into a song. It's called Labios, which means lips in Spanish. Labios. Quiero sentir tus labios. Quiero sentar en tus labios. It's cute how I reminisce. A future moment started with a kiss, a gentle meeting of the lips, and connecting fingertips, labios. Cállate, hablas demasiado. Te necesito decir más poco, because without words I can hear you when I feel you. Y tus labios. Hablas demasiado. Vas a ser muy ocupado con mis labios más bajos. ¿No comprendes? Claro, no te preocupes. Pero puedes sentirme cuando tú sentarme. Puedes sentirme cuando tú sentarme. Puedes sentirme cuando tú sentarme en tus labios. Vamos a hacer más ruidos bonitos cuando bailamos en los barrios y nos sudamos hasta que nos sucios y lamimos los cuerpos limpios con los labios. Entonces, darse prisa, tú eres mi vida y soy tu morenita con tu boca linda, pero necesitas una cita con mis labios. Thank you, thank you. So yeah, I think that's about my time. So yeah, I'm open to any questions, suggestions, feedback. Thank you for listening.
So you're obviously bilingual.
Yes.
And as I was listening, I thought to myself, okay, I've taken so many Spanish classes and I'm still never going to be good at it. So I applaud you.
Yes, you can. I believe. Man,
yeah,
yes.
I think it's over for that. But I was listening to you and I was thinking about connecting you, and I'll do that offline, connecting you with I don't know if you know Divine Karama, who just won an Emmy. He is a good friend of mine here in Lexington. And then my brother-in-law, who is Els Bentley, and I don't know if you know him.
Wow.
he is also kind of big time out there producing and doing hip hop too. So I think there could be some connection there to, take your work in a little different level, just connecting. So I will be in touch with you offline for that, but we do appreciate you reading. And I'm going to tell you, I really probably was showing my age when you were doing your erotic poetry because I'm old. I'm like, oh,
okay. So believe it or not, it's a lot like more senior citizens that book me than
well, I'm telling you, I'm not quite a senior citizen, but I was like, okay, no. Maybe I'm much older now, and it's like, oh, okay. I wouldn't have the language to express it like that. Let me just go with that, and we'll leave it there.
Oh, thank you.
All right, I appreciate you. So we're gonna go to our next reader for the night, which is Rick. Let me make sure I'm saying it right. Neumayer. Did I say it right? You are still muted, Rick. It says Corey. So it's not Corey. Corey is his wife. So don't call him Corey. His name is Rick. So let me get you off of mute. Can you get it off there?
All
right. There you go. There we go. So let me read your intro. So Hot Walker is Rick Neumeyer's second published novel following his debut with Journeyman in 2020. Rick has published short fiction in many literary magazines, and 3 of his full-length Broadway-style musical collaborations have been produced. A career teacher, he has had a wide variety of experiences, including working as a newspaper reporter, book reviewer, literary magazine editor, and singer in rock bands. All right. He is a Louisville native and resident and Mel High grad with degrees from Spalding University and MFA, University of Louisville and MA, and Western Kentucky University BA. You are definitely a Kentuckian. With all those degrees from our Kentucky schools, but I'm with it. I was a college and career coach in my former life.
So yeah, yes. Born and bred. Kentucky is, I'm very Kentucky.
Yes. While I'm rocking my Ohio State shirt, I might add.
Oh, okay. I see how it is.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So Rick, you got the Zoom floor.
Okay. Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. I'm Rick Neumayer. I'm thrilled to be here with you. I really appreciate Louisville Literary Arts having me, and I appreciate everybody who's watching this. I hope you enjoy it. I published 2 novels over the last 3 years. In 2020, Journeyman came out, It's the story of two young men hitchhiking from Louisville to San Francisco in 1971 as they try to catch up with the Summer of Love. They're a little bit late since that was in 1967, but they're game. Hot Walker, from which I'll be reading tonight, was published in 2021. It's a murder mystery set on the backside of Churchill Downs during the running of the Kentucky Derby. Louisville private eye Jim Guthrie debuts in this story, which is the first in the series. Both my books are available at rickneumeyer.com and at amazon.com. Hot Walker concerns the murder of 46-year-old Guatemalan groom Felipe Rojas, whose body was found in a horse barn a year ago. As the story opens, the case remains unsolved. Private investigator Guthrie is having a drink on his boat dock on the Ohio River when the Derby Week hoopla on the radio is suddenly drowned out by an ear-splitting noise. Startled by the whine of high-powered engines, I glanced upriver to see a red speedboat with a white fiberglass hull hurtling my way. It was bouncing high and slapping the waves hard while throwing up a 10-foot rooster tail. 6 miles upriver from the city of Louisville, where sailboats and fishermen dotted the channel, was no place for a muscle craft like this to zoom close to shore at 60 knots, especially not while recklessly shifting direction and jumping his own wake. Only a grandstander would do that. This one must have been showing off for the woman standing beside him in a two-piece swimsuit. When I waved him off, he veered to the right, but then he veered back while letting go of the wheel, like a kid on a bicycle riding with no hands. He must not have expected the torque that forced the boat to swerve, pitching him out across the waves. Seconds later, he popped up unhurt and swam for shore. But his passenger was not so lucky. As she flipped overboard, she banged her head on the stern and became entangled with the tow rope. Now she was being dragged feet first underwater. With no time to think, my instincts took over. The driverless boat was going around in circles, with each pass coming closer. When it seemed within reach, I sprinted the length of the dock and leaped, barely hurdling the watery gap and landing on the foredeck with enough force to carry me over the other side. Instead, I grabbed a railing and, almost dislocating my shoulder, pulled myself up. Once in the cockpit, I throttled back, bringing the boat to a lurching halt amid a welter of white water. I went aft and pulled in the rope, towing the woman. When I got her into the boat, she wasn't breathing. I laid her out on the deck and tilted her head back, blowing harsh, rhythmic breaths into her mouth until she gagged and began spewing up copper-colored water. "You okay?" I said, realizing at once what a stupid question that was. She had almost drowned. Her skin was cold and pale. She was trembling, her teeth chattering. Strands of auburn hair were pasted over her freckled cheeks and one green eye. I eased her into a seat. Keying the high-performance engines, I ran the boat up alongside the dock and tied her off. I was helping the young redhead over the transom when the guy responsible for almost killing her showed up in a red Speedo and a dab of sunblock, with his chest puffed up like an arrogant but incompetent lifeguard. Okay, after running him off, Guthrie helps the woman, Libby Fontaine, up the rough plank steps to his rustic cottage on the bluff overlooking the river. While Libby showers, Guthrie has a stiff drink on his screened-in back porch. It was the blue hour, when the sun was low on the horizon. The evenly diffused sunlight was perfect for painting, which was a passion of mine and more than a hobby. Libby emerged from the back door, wearing the robe and a towel wrapped around her head like a turban. She thanks him for saving her life. They chat. Then he drives her home in his Bullitt Mustang GT. He does not expect to see her again, but the next morning, Libby phones to ask him to help her friend Carlos Rojas, whose father was murdered on the backside last Derby Day. In the years since then, police have made no progress in the case. Guthrie reluctantly agrees to visit Churchill Downs. Traffic was light for the 4-mile drive from my downtown office to Central Avenue in the city's blue-collar South End, where I'd grown up. In front of the Downs, 1 lane in 4 was already fenced off for use by pedestrians and golf carts. The relatively smooth flow of traffic vehicles would end as crowds swelled for Derby festivities. Soon, many streets will be jammed or closed. As the security guard went in and picked up the phone, I caught a dry, earthy whiff of hay and horse manure on the breeze. The smell reminded me I was about to enter an area only a few members of the public ever saw. Far from Millionaire's Row, it was inhabited only by 1,000 odd workers and a few hundred of the fastest horses on the planet. The guard waved me on through. Libby had given me directions to the track kitchen, an eatery frequented primarily by backside workers, where I was to meet my prospective client. I set out through the 48 horse barns laid out with military precision like barracks. Interspersed between them was an ongoing tableau of hay bales, tractors, and farm animals. Few cars visible, but dozens of bicycles chained up in front of a large brick building, evidently a dormitory for the short-statured men and women in Kelly green t-shirts who were standing around talking on cell phones in Spanish. I trod on through a whispery quietness, disturbed only by neighing, heavy-breathing horses and their shoes beating on the nearby turf. I'd heard of this venerable track kitchen where the real track workers came to eat. As I went inside the simple utilitarian building, a young man with short black hair and a round, clean-shaven Central American face rose from his seat and waved me over. Although he appeared shy at first, he made steady eye contact and stood tall for his height, which was no more than 5'6". "Mr. Guthrie," he said in English, "I'm Carlos Rojas." We shook hands. I noticed his were hard and calloused, working man's hands. I said, "I'm here because Libby Fontaine says you want me to investigate your father's murder. You understand that I have not agreed to take the case, right? I'm here to listen and observe." "I understand. Thanks for coming." "I speak some Spanish," I began, "but I'm an outsider here. Maybe not the best choice to investigate." "Sounds like you're trying to talk yourself out of a job. Don't you want the case, Jim?" "Not sure yet," but I liked his directness and his accented but fluent English. "Are you a good detective?" "You could ask around." "I need a good one. You seem old. How old are you?" "I'm still in my prime, Sonny. That's all you need to know." "Libby says you saved her life," Carlos chuckled. "Her judgment is good enough for me." I suggested starting with the crime scene, or rather where the body was found. We set off through the shed rows, covered walkway beside the stalls that lined each cinder block horse barn clustered before us. "I understand you're unhappy with the police investigation. Do you know who did it? Murdered your father?" "It had to be someone who lives here," he said. Carlos pointed out the razor wire top fence, completely closing off the backside from the surrounding neighborhood. "Late at night, there's only one way in or out of here. The night of the murder, nobody came or went after 10 o'clock, according to security," Carlos said. The horse barns had green roofs and green and white awnings, each one 20 or so stalls, plus offices, living quarters, and equipment storage facilities. Carlos introduced me to his boss, assistant trainer Luke Erickson. While we talked, a fit-looking woman wearing a light jacket over a loose-fitting shirt brushed past us silently. She was in her 30s with long, dark hair tied back in a ponytail. She opened Speckled Band's stall door and went inside. "Dr. Freya Hall, our veterinarian," Luke said, and stepped away. The veterinarian began pinching Speckled Band's neck. "I hope you're better at investigating than the police," she said. "Why are you pinching that horse, Dr. Hall?" I asked, admiring the woman's good looks and intelligent, alert eyes. She smiled, seemingly pleased by my attention. "It's Freya. I'm checking to see if he's hydrated. If he is, in less than 1 second after I let go, his skin will flatten back into place." She demonstrated, releasing Speckled Band's skin. It flattened out exactly as she'd said. "I take it that he's been getting enough water," I said. A quick learner. I like that," Freya said. The colt nosed at her. She gave him a carrot. "Learned anything new about the case, Jim?" I told her I had a few leads I was following up. "Already? You must be an ace investigator." "I am." She smirked. "What's your secret? The police have been followed for over a year." I poke around and prod, see who gets upset. What did you think of Felipe Rojas? Good man, good groom. We all felt terrible about what happened to him. How about his son? Carlos? He's a natural. Horses love him. I'm curious, how does someone your size manage to handle a 1,000-pound horse? It's all in your head, Jim. Just like with a man. You only need enough strength to make him stand still. Like for an x-ray or an exam. You really seem to know horses, I said. She brushed her hand over her jeans. I'm a vet. I grew up around them, loving them, studying them, taking care of them. It's my dream job. Freya stepped out of the stall. What about you? Did you read about Sam Spade and dream of becoming a private eye? On Tuesday morning of Derby week, Carlos has just helped save the Derby favorite, Cat Chaser, from sustaining a serious injury while spooked during a workout. This has earned him the gratitude of famous trainer Keen Kessinger, whom Carlos admires. A TV reporter tries to interview Kessinger while the trainer is still up to his elbows in soap suds and is told, "Not now, damn it." The journalist backed away as a gravelly voice boomed from the far edge of the crowd. "What's the matter, your lordship? Too good to speak with us ordinary folk of the working class?" The possessor of this distinctive vocal instrument turned out to be a hard-to-miss looking character with a foul-smelling cigar clamped in his teeth. He was wearing a bright orange Hawaiian shirt with a kilt, of all things, a gaudy outfit, likely to offend anyone's fashion sense, but most certainly Hawaiians and Scotsmen. I nudged Carlos. Who the hell is that? With a coy smile, my client said, "That's Whitlow, the tip sheet guy." "Which tip sheet?" I asked. "You never heard of the late mail?" Carlos said. I had not, but I was familiar with tip sheets in general. At some tracks, they were known as tout, pink, or bull sheets, and usually sold from kiosks along with racing forms. But the publisher of the late mail was giving his sheets away. I watched him distribute the photocopied newsletter, wondering how he could make any money doing that. I concluded he must carry advertising. While onlookers accepted copies of the tip sheet, I sensed an undercurrent of resentment from a band of green t-shirted track workers. And when the tipster approached Keen Kessinger with a copy, the trainer told him to go to hell. Kissinger adjusted the water faucet and began hosing down Cat Chaser. With an exaggerated shrug, the publisher moved on to me. I accepted a single-page edition and scanned the front page. Unlike most other tip sheets I'd seen, this one did not just offer 3 best picks for every race. No, the late mail seemed far more ambitious, a hybrid tabloid that appeared to value controversy for its shock value. I came to this conclusion after seeing a cartoon of a jockey and the unlikely headline, "Deceased Jockey Wins Race." A subhead posed the question, who needs jockeys? After reassuring readers that they had read the headline correctly, the sheet reported, "No, we're not talking about the lethargic performance of a certain rider on yesterday's card at Churchill who only looked dead in the saddle. The reference is to jockey Frank Hayes, who back in 1923 suffered a fatal heart attack while riding in a race at Belmont Park, but stayed in the saddle to win as a 20-to-1 long shot. Seems like the adage about the more things change, the more they stay the same is still true." When I looked up, the publisher was standing in front of me, puffy blue eyes staring out at me from a deeply lined face, adding years to his appearance. "I'm Wyatt Whitlow," he said, as we exchanged a firm handshake. "The scuttlebutt is that you're the private eye reopening the Rojas murder case." "That's right. I couldn't help overhearing you having words with Kessinger," I said. "His lordship can be a right arsehole." With a roguish grin, he indicated the cartoon probably led to the conclusion that our art was modeled after his top jockey. Was it? "Of course not," he winked. "Any resemblance is purely coincidental." I had to smile. "You're on the case, yeah? That predisposes me in your favor," Whitlow said. "Why should it?" "Makes you a better story. Anything you'd like to share with my readers about the investigation?" "Who are your readers?" I asked. I already had a pretty good idea. Besides, people who only wanted the 3 best picks for every race, there were also those who enjoyed unsubstantiated attacks on racing figures and other such tittle-tattle. Who are my readers? Whitlow said. Why, anyone who's interested in racing, or who wants a hot tip and the latest gossip, or who appreciates brilliant, witty commentary. That's who. What do you know about the row house murder? I asked. Maybe we can trade information. I doubt you got much to trade yet. These Mexicans are the most close-mouthed bunch you'll ever meet. You'll get squat out of them. Felipe Rojas was Guatemalan, I said. What's the difference? Now I understood the resentment toward him I'd sensed from Latino onlookers. What's your beef with Kessinger? How perceptive of you, Whitlow said. My tip sheet offends his lordship's sensibilities. What I call irreverent satirical commentary, he calls low blows. I think he just can't take a joke. I am a funny guy. Sarcasm and caustic humor are the tools of my trade, but some people are too dumb to get the humor. Maybe they get it, but think your ridicule is in bad taste, I said. Nah, that can't be it. He rolled his cigar from one side of his mouth to the other. Like the great American playwright Edward Albee said, what I mean by an educated taste is someone who has the same tastes that I have. I was more interested in Whitlow's knowledge of the backside. I suspected he knew more gossip than anyone else because it was his business to do so. I wanted to pick his teeming brain in the worst way, but I got the feeling that he never gave anything away except the tip sheet. It would not behoove me to come across as too eager at first blush. On the other hand, there was plenty I'd like to share with Whitlow's readers. Unlike a normal investigation where discretion and a low profile are paramount, those strategies offered no advantages here, where the more people who knew what I was doing, the better. I wanted to get everyone talking about the murder and worrying the murderer. Exactly how low would you stoop for a scoop, Whitlow? Why, you got one for me? Maybe. Well, like Albee says, takes a swine to show you where the truffles are. I wasn't sure who he was calling a swine, but I didn't let that stop me from going after the truffles, whatever they were. It might help if you publish a story to the effect that a certain private investigator is following a new line of inquiry and may be close to cracking the row house murder case, I told him. On your first day, Whitlow cleared his throat. What new line of inquiry? How close? I shook my head. That's what I want the murderer to wonder. You want me to rattle their cage for you, eh, Guthrie? Isn't that what you do best? I like you, Shamus, and I'm willing to plant your item for a small fee, of course. He waggled his eyebrows. Call it advertising. How much? 50 simoleons. I winced, recollecting my current bank balance, but told him it was a deal. As we shook hands on it, I slipped him the money. He gave me a business card, which I slid into my wallet. Are you sure you don't know anything about the murder that would help me? I asked. Buy me a drink sometime at the Rail Runner Saloon on Taylor Boulevard. Alcohol has been known to oil my brain and loosen my tongue. I felt certain that it would take far more than one drink to get anything out of Wyatt Whitlow. I decided to put that line of inquiry on a back burner. Instead, I carried my folded copy of the late mail over to the Erickson stable, where a strong but not unpleasant horsey musk lingered. Sweat and leather, oats and grass and manure. With nobody around the entrance, I leaned against the barn door and read the tip sheet. I knew that late mail was a racing term, meaning timely tips whispered by informed sources about such topics as last-minute scratches, jockeys, and track conditions. While I did not recognize the names of today's top 3 picks at the Downs, I assumed Whitlow must be a decent handicapper to stay in business, as I assumed the wily Tatler knew precisely what he could get away with and how far to go. The cartoon jockey was captioned Old Sleepy Eye. As I suspected, there were ads, primarily for local businesses. And then, suddenly, the world was filled with song. One night, a wild young cowboy came in, wild as the West Texas wind. The voice was as smooth as Wyatt Whitlow's was raspy. I recognized the song El Paso as a Marty Robbins classic from before I was born. The security guard checked my ID and let me in. I crept toward a brightly illuminated stall at the far end of the row where a gray-haired man, who had to be trainer Ned Erickson, sang while holding his Derby Longshot Speckleband's tail with a surgically gloved hand. Out through the back door of Rose's I ran, out where the horses were tied. I caught a good one that looked like it could run, up on its back, and away I did ride. In Erickson's other hand was a rectal thermometer. Trainer looked too old and frail for that kind of chore. His jeans were stuffed into the tops of his boots like he meant business, but his worn flannel shirt hung on him as if he'd experienced a sudden weight loss consistent with illness. He finished the song at the same moment he finished taking the horse's temperature. The stall door I was leaning on suddenly let out a loud squeak, and man and horse swilled their heads toward me at the same time, all ears perked as if ready to make a threat assessment. The horse shifted restlessly, haunches quivering in the deep bedding straw. How'd you know he'd be a Marty Robbins fan? I asked. Erickson's eyes gleamed. Who the hell isn't? Thank you very much. Y'all are very kind.
Is that all you're gonna read?
That was about 20 plus minutes.
Okay, I was just making
It just
sure.
went fast because it was so good, don't you know?
I was just making sure, I want to make sure that, you read all that that you wanted to read. I appreciate that. But every time you would talk about Kentucky Derby, I'm like, okay, is this a true story? Is this based on a true story?
Well, it was inspired by an actual event. And all of the history of Churchill Downs, as far as I've been able to tell, there's only been one murder at the track on the backside. And that took place maybe half a dozen years ago. And it really was a man very much like the one in my story. So that got me thinking, because the police still haven't figured out who did it.
Oh,
And that inspired the story. And the rest of it is all my invention.
it's your imagination, right?
Yes, my imagination.
And your skill.
And my skill and my research and my
That's
sweat.
right. That's right. That's right. But I have a fun fact. In 1996, I'm telling my age a little bit, I was the Kentucky Derby Festival Queen.
Wow. Well, good for you. That's amazing.
Yes,
Congratulations
another life.
in retrospect.
Another life.
That must have
all
been
the
hoodie.
Listen, all the chow wagons around town. We went to about 100 events. So the Kentucky Derby is dear to my heart, and Churchill Downs. But thank you so much for reading. And again, I want everybody to know that comes on later. Corey is his wife's name. Thank
My
you
wife
all.
and my inspiration.
Yes, yes, yes. And thank you all both so much for reading tonight. I appreciate it. And I actually appreciate the variety and the styles that you both brought. This is probably the most diverse 2 readings I've had at once. It used to be.
I'm thrilled to have been a part of it. I really
Yes,
enjoyed it.
The most diverse in terms of, how you all both presented your work and the type of work. And I appreciate that. And I think really a lot of the people that are engaged with Louisville Literary Arts, they think that InKY is mostly only poetry because that's historically how it really started. And so now we're trying to broaden our offerings in terms of who comes on to read. So we want people who do poetry, nonfiction, fiction, whatever. Even if you're a songwriter, we welcome you.
I'm a songwriter.
Yeah, I know you were debating, and I saw that. You want to sing something?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just that
Well,
I enjoyed Sunshine's reading very much. I didn't get to say that before.
okay. Thank you all both. So I want to give our highlights one more time. We will have our Writers Block Festival on November 12th, 2022 at Ivy Tech campus. It's just across the bridge. Everybody thinks it's so far away. It's really not. It's just literally on the other side of the bridge. And we are so excited. We'll be having our InKY in person at the Writers Block Festival next month. So it will be our first in-person InKY in 2.5 years. Because of course of the pandemic. So we are excited about that. And again, I want to thank Sunshine Lombré and Rick Neumayer for coming on tonight and sharing with us for InKY. And so until next time, we will see you again. Thank you all both.